Salam. This is Hubb'Allah. I am a Pakistani Muslim thinker, writer, mother, homeschooling mother, and a climate activist, amongst other things, based currently in the Pakistani Himalayas. By climate actionist, I mean I have bypassed the whole lobbying and activism thing and trying to write to governments or protesting or awareness part and jumped right into projects myself in 2005, 1 year after the Boxers Day tsunami hit Asia. At that time, I used to work at a pretty uh, high level job in media in one of Pakistan's largest private media networks, um, television networks, which was actually a part of the larger media empire, starting with print once upon a time and then had just gone into television the year I joined them in 2003. 2004, I was sitting at my desk uh, in December. I tend to be gloomy in December. I'm a December kid myself, born in December. I was late night. I was doing late hours in my office, a couple of times alone, other staff had left. And the news of the tsunami was going on. And I remember I even wrote in my blog, I said, the world has changed. Something has changed in the world in a massive, massive way. And I felt the earth was calling. So I studied that particular tsunami and how people were helped, because I was in media and I was also a bit of a techie working with information technology. The internet was my thing. It called to me. I had learned a bit of coding right in 1998, I believe, and started teaching that at my university in 1999, which was unusual because students were not allowed to teach, but I managed to teach. So I was visionary at that time. I was like, people need to learn coding. So when that tsunami happened, I started crying. And I said, the earth is calling. And I feel really impotent sitting here at my desk just talking about how to make soap operas or like, while that was not exactly my job. And in fact, I was assigned to the better job of hiring anchors for news. I felt like this was the place for me. And I didn't want to report the news. I wanted to work on site and then also fashion society. Probably I should have done a talk show or something. But then I want to bring new ideas to the front. And that is when you work on the level of policy, action, and like actually doing something. So next year, I quit in May, and I started immediately teaching entrepreneurship on one hand. It's very interesting how my life came about, right? Life came together. And I taught 2 semesters of entrepreneurship in a local MBA university, and to people of diverse ages, some even older than me. I was in my 20s at the time, and they were in their mid-career, mid-40s, etc. So it was like a diverse class. And I taught 2 semesters totally off the top of my head. One of the things people don't know is that I speak spontaneously, such as in this video. Like I open the video and I start. By the grace of God, Alhamdulillah, is a quality and a skill that I have. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, for those who don't know, means praise be to the Lord of all worlds. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen is the whole statement. Alhamdulillah is praise be and Rabbil Alameen to the Lord of all worlds. We'll talk about it sometime, inshallah. So soon after, in October, there was a massive earthquake in Pakistan. Took the lives of about at least 80 to 90,000 people. It happened in a region which is considered disputed politically. And so the government was really shook and upset. And if you don't know about it, I'm in Pakistan. Pakistan has a long-standing conflict with India, which is, I think, kind of dissolving because India is focusing on its life now. And every nation is like basically focusing on their life, which is great, which is really the outcome of climate shift and evolving human consciousness. So two things were happening at the same time. Earth is like a metaphor and a manifestation of spirituality, right? So when the earth is rattling, you feel like consciousness is changing and something new is erupting, and we can shape that thing as it erupts, right? And there are biblical or scriptural explanations of the same thing. I felt the whole thing tying up. So in October, when that earthquake occurred, I was able to not just carry on teaching in my university, but also work in a relief camp in a different part of the country, where we were just like organizing and shipping relief. So I was able to put together some of my business knowledge and organizing knowledge and inspire a team. In fact, at that time, we didn't even know what to do with that. And to those who may be really tapped into politics, etc., what happened is at that time, people felt the energy of that quake and they said, well, something is happening in the world. And that is when they tapped into a retired, semi-retired politician. His name is Imran Khan. You may have heard of him. He became later the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and they tapped into him because he was a really popular person. He is the most popular person in Pakistan, right? And quite uncontroversial in some sense. Like everybody liked him. So it was actually amongst other people. I don't know the totality of everything, but amongst other people, um, people from my own media organization reached him and said, well, Mr. Imran Khan, you need to step into politics again and take charge of this country and take people into a new direction. And then he started his politicking, and then it took him some years to come into power. That's another story. Um, I was also invited to become part of the political scenarios. I was invited to some conventions. I was invited to talk. I chickened out of most things because the moment I get my first start, like, we've been watching your social media, like, that's not the me. And the place where I diverged from this whole thing, and I was just listening to one of my interviews from that time, around that time, a couple of years after that earthquake, there was political disruption, and then I had a blog which is about future of business, etc. And I talked about consciousness and law of attraction. There, I actually disputed the law of attraction, and I spoke from the Muslim spiritual perspective, and a perspective that was focused on the growth of the soul, and the soul brings you prosperity instead of aiming for wealth, right? So I was correcting those things as I went along. And then I got into politics, even though I didn't want to. So I was listening to one of my interviews from that time, the year 2007 to be precise. And I was like, I kept on saying I don't want to get into politics, but I should have. At least I should have become part of the political discourse or talked about it. And the point at which I diverged from all these people, mostly men or even women who were speaking in the masculine industrial paradigm, is that I said the environment means something. And then I took it environment, like grow food, etc. But I'm realizing it doesn't have to be environment. Ecology is a better word. And ecology encapsulates within itself sociology, politics, governance, all these aspects. In fact, I now have a model, and the model is called the Salam Matrix. The website is thesalammatrix.org, this exact word, thesalammatrix.org, put it all together. And if you look at it, right, it talks about uh, uh, 4 life zones in which humans operate. The spiritual zone, you will see Muslim iconography here because I made it from my Pakistani students, and I'm going to update that to here. I'll appear. I'll update that to a more global audience. So the spiritual zone, the personal familial zone, socio-economic zone, and ecological political zone. These are the realms in which a human being operates. This model actually spontaneously came about in my class when I was helping my students focus on the lives of consumers of the market, and said people in their day life operate in these various realms. So why don't you look at it and look at the roles that they play? So I defined some of the roles that they play, and I said, why don't you make products for that? And then this changed into a model that basically helps us study people, study markets. So this is the first part of the video. I'll continue in the second part, and we'll talk about the Salam Matrix and talk about my work and tell you what is it that I'm up to, and how, when I broke away from the masculine paradigm, what is it that I ended up doing. I'm going to tell you about the eco-feminine world. So what's the next part? Thank you.